ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदां। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतापदं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना सादपेतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादं सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णनिष्ठाय श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नमस्ते सरस्वते देवी गौरवाणी निर्विशेष शून्यवादी भाष्यान्ति नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेमानंदाय कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरत्रिषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा दीनबन्धो गोपेश गोपिका भक्तकांचन गौर श्रीराधे वृषभानुसुते प्रणमामि हरि नीलाचलनिवासाय नित्याय बलभद्र सुभद्राभ्यां वाञ्छाकल्पतरुश्च कृपासिन्धुरेव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो जय श्रीकृष्ण श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे राम 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 हरे हरे करुणाचार्य पांडुरंगाय कृपा तमहं वन्दे श्री गुरुदेव। So we have been here for a long time. So I hope you enjoyed the Utkarsh camp, the lecture for the Utkarsh camp. So going forward, we'll have our regular classes. So we will meet on Wednesdays for uh, yeah for a shorter class, maybe for 5 minutes or so, and on Sundays for a 1 hour classes. So we'll have two classes, uh, Wednesdays and Sundays, Wednesday evening and following Sunday. Yeah. Morning or evening, we'll decide that. Wednesdays one. So we'll go ahead with a series of learnings. Uh, the next learning which we want to take, the next learning which we want to take from was uh, from a very wonderful section, a very wonderful pastime which comes in the sixth canto Shikha, about the life teachings of the life of Chitraketu Maharaj. And we can learn such amazing things from this pastime. So today we want to dive into the life of Chitraketu Maharaj. Who was the ruler of the Vidyadhara planets, king, the ruler of the Vidyadhara planets, and such a powerful personality. And in Chitraketu Maharaj's life, we are going to see a very powerful contrast. And there is a phase where Chitraketu Maharaj is not a devotee of the Lord. And then there is one part of the pastime which zooms on that aspect. And then there is a phase when he becomes a devotee of the Lord, Chitraketu Maharaj. And he becomes a great devotee. So, and then after that, so when troubles and tribulations come in his life before a devotee, how he tackles, in contrast with when he becomes a devotee of the Lord. That is an amazing lesson, phenomenal, such a rich contrast of a lesson for us to learn and take inspiration, motivation. Roadmap from. So we will go through the life of Chitraketu Maharaj. Material world is an ocean of tribulations. Trials and tribulations are going to come for anyone. Because that is the nature of this world. Just like in an ocean, waves are always there. What differentiates a devotee from a non-devotee is how he perceives and how he reacts to the material trials and tribulations. That is what differentiates a devotee and a non-devotee. That's what differentiates a devotee and a non-devotee. And the effect of that, amazing effect of that is what? A materialistic person, no matter what he does, no matter whatever he has, even if he has the wealth and riches of the whole world, he is still not happy. He is still miserable. And whereas a devotee of the Lord, even if everything is taken away from him, still, he is going to be as happy as ever because he's a devotee. That is such a highlight and it's such a amazing level of depth we are going to see in this passage. So let's read through some of the highlights of the pastime, and then we will pick up the lessons from. Okay. Yeah, so the story revolves around Chitraketu Maharaj wanting a son. He did got a son who was a prince, the prince regent, the prince who brought jubilation and lamentation, the prince whose name was Harsha Shokala. Let's read. Is this visible to all of you? Text format. Once the world was ruled by a powerful king named Chitraketu. Maharaj Chitraketu had many beautiful wives, but he did not receive a child from any of them, as they were all barren. Upon the advice of Angira Muni, King Chitraketu arranged for a special sacrifice to the demigods and then offered the remnants of the sacrificial food to one of his queens named Kritaduti. At the end of the sacrifice, Angira Muni told him, O great king, you will now have a son who will be the cause of both jubilation and lamentation. Chitraketu was overjoyed to know that he would finally get a son. But he wondered about the sage's last word. He thought Angira might have meant that I will be greatly happy when my son is born. But what did he mean by the child being the cause of lamentation? Of course, being my only son, he'll automatically become the heir to my throne. Therefore, he might become proud and disobedient. That might be a cause for lamentation. But a disobedient son is better than no son at all. Anyways, in due course of time, Kritututi begot a son. King Chitraketu could not contain his joy. He raised his infant son carefully, and his affection for the queen Kritaduti increased daily. The other wives they felt neglected, so they burned with anger and envy. As their envy increased, they lost their intelligence and their hearts became hard. So one may say, okay, having such a complete life, why is he miserable? He's having everything what anyone can aspire for. He's having everything what anyone can aspire for. Can any one of us can even dream about? He's having much more than that. Unimaginable no, opulence that is can call power, opulence, influence, everything. But there was one small thing which was lacking. That what was that small thing? He didn't have a son. He didn't have a son actually. And he was supremely miserable, as if his life was empty. So, what is the reason why he's supremely miserable? So much so that he was not even able to do his duties of kingship properly. So much so that he was not able to actually understand spiritual subject matter as well. He was completely uh, in a state of delirium, in a state of depression. That's so to say. This is what materialistic outlook can lead us to. So in life, something or the other is going to be always incomplete. That is the nature of this material world. Even if one has everything, there is some small thing which is still missing. And now the materialistic attitude, what is going to happen is that missing thing becomes overwhelming. That is what happens in that materialistic attitude. Actually. So that missing thing becomes overwhelming, so much so that one forgets about what he has and just focuses on that one small thing which he doesn't have and keeps crying his life out. This is what materialistic consciousness leads to. Now, what was the problem with Chitraketu Maharaj? If you try to analyze, he had everything. Okay, if he didn't had a son, so what? He could have adopted a son. What was the problem in that? Is it not? Simple solution. Anyways, as a king, you see, mind it, Chitraketu Maharaj was a king. He was not having a problem of social circle. His social circle was the entire planet. And anyways, the king is supposed to be a father of the kingdom. So everybody in the kingdom was a son and daughter. He could have thought it that way. Is it not? And he could have, so he could have actually, channelized that feelings and affection which he wanted to shower on his son. He could have showered that on each and every citizen of his kingdom. That was anyways his duty also. But now he could have done all the more because he didn't had a seminal son. That is the point. So, anyways, it's not that seminal sons are always going to, be good and do good to their parents. That doesn't happen like that. Is it not? You know, Aurangzeb killed his father. What? So, I mean, the history is a proof of so many. So, it all depends. The good son or nefarious son. But Chitraketu Maharaj is obsessed. So now there was a time that Angira Muni came in the kingdom. So which can help him and do his service to the citizens in a much more, million times powerful manner. But he saw that Chitraketu Maharaj is not ready. And Angira Muni could see he has that hankering in his heart, that one material hankering. And because of that hankering, Chitraketu Maharaj is lost. He is not able to do anything. So Angira Muni thought, okay, I can help him in some way. What way? So he thought to talk to him. When he talked to him, Chitraketu Maharaj only wanted one thing: a son, a son, a son, a son. Actually, Angira Muni could understand what is happening. See, by karma, because of his previous karma, he was not entitled to get a son. He was entitled to a suffering of not having a son. Now, whether it is suffering, so the point is karma, by karma, according to karma, he was not entitled to get a son. Okay. Now, whether it is suffering or happiness, or it is a positive turning point or is a negative turning point, that all depends on the attitude of a person. And in a materialistic attitude will always dunk a person towards the negativity and degradation. So Chitraketu Maharaj, because of his materialistic attitude, he was dunked into depression. He just wanted a son, wanted a son, wanted a son. So for him, it was a big suffering. But whereas one who is a little more spiritually realized, he could understand, okay, I don't have a personal son, the whole citizens are my sons, daughters. So let me just wholeheartedly offer my life to serving God, you know, in devotion to God, keeping Krishna. So that is, then that situation becomes an auspicious turning point, you know, like that. So happiness or distress is in the hands of the person, how he interprets things. So Angira Muni, see what happens now. What Angira Muni did, how could he give some, some prasad offering, some yagya and yagya prasad, and that yagya prasad would get him a son. When the karma, according to karma, he was not supposed to get a son. So karma, see in general, karma cannot be circumvented, cannot be stopped. On a materialistic level, karma can never be countered. What is possible is some variation can happen. Means if the suffering is supposed to come here, you can divert it, it will come here. If suffering is supposed to come in one way, you can divert it, it will come in another way. That much quota of suffering will come somehow or the other. Like sometimes, you see people do this astrology and all also. So they understand some misery before. And they go to some pandit, not some genuine pandit, not some crook. No, if they go to some genuine pandit, astrologer or somebody, a genuine one. And they say, okay, now this problem is coming, what is the solution? All then they okay, do this chant this mantra, wear this money or something like that. But that will happen. The problem which is coming in one way, it will get evaded off. It won't come in that way. That doesn't mean it will never come. It will come in some other way. Suppose person is supposed to meet an accident. You know? Now he has won money and chanted mantra and all that. Now he will not meet accident. But what will happen is, he will lose his money somewhere. Hmm? The suffering will come in another form. So accident and loss of accident and repair cost and all that, that much equivalent amount of money will be lost. And what physical damage, pain he was supposed to endure, now he will get that much of anxiety, mental pain. So suffering will come in another way. This is materially. Now we say, oh, this suffering of karma is very strong. How do we get out of it? Is there a way to get out of it? Yes, materially there is no way to get out of it. But spiritually there is a way to get out. And we take to bhakti, and all the karma, good or bad, get destroyed. Karmani nirdahat, kintu cha bhakti bhajam. Karmani nirdahati, kintu cha bhakti bhajam. The nature of performing bhakti is that all the seeds of karma get fried out. Now, fried seed never germinates. So all the good karma, bad karma, karmani nirdahati, kintu cha bhakti bhajam. By the process of bhakti, everything gets fried out. That's the only way. But anyways, Angira Muni wanted to give this bhakti, but Chitraketu Maharaj was not ready to receive. So Angira Muni circumvented the karma. He said, okay, you will get a son, but your son is going to bring you happiness and jubilation and lamentation both. Misery also will bring, happiness also. So you name him Harsha Shoka, so that you can remember that one day he is going to bring misery also. The Chitraketu Maharaj had his own reasoning. Oh, okay, he'll be naughty, disobedient, and all that. No problem. So that was his speculated reasoning. The reality was that so the karma was no son. Now the karma was transformed into getting a son, and then what will happen? The son will be taken off. So the suffering, the same amount of suffering will remain. Variation, it is coming in another way. We're not supposed to get a son and suffer. Now he got a son, and the son will be gone. And that's what happened. That is what we hear in the past. So you will see that now this what happened. So now you will see that now Chitraketu Maharaj got a son. He got dead attached to that son. We got the son. Anybody, any queen who would have got Prasad would have gotten a son. Now Kritaduti, he'll give Prasad to only one lady. He had many queens. What to do? He gave to one. Naturally, he'll give to one only logically. So he got one son. So now what happened is that because he was having that unreasonable, insatiable hankering, material hankering. Now when he got the son, he got overwhelmingly attached to Kritaduti, the queen whom he got that son. So that means he completely neglected all other queens. And that troubled all other queens. And because of that neglect, all of their hearts started getting contaminated. How? Because of Chitraketu Maharaj's neglectful behavior, their hearts started bleeding or burning with anger and envy. Now, mind it, Kritaduti didn't have any special qualification that she got the son. Prasad, anybody could have been, so the Prasad, anybody could have been given the Prasad, and any queen would have gotten the son. So Chitraketu Maharaj should have had this reasoning that why am I unnecessarily attached only to Kritaduti? When I have married so many queens, it is my responsibility to take care of them, to give them love and affection equally. Is it not? That is the point. But because Chitraketu, but who can think like this? On a materialistic person who is swayed by hankering and lamentation, who is swayed by material desires, can never think like this, because the nature of material desires is that it makes a person blind. Here, Chitraketu Maharaj, because of his material desires, had become blind. Previously, he was hankering, and therefore he was not taking care of his kingly duties properly. Now he is getting so much attached to that enjoyment which came from that child, that Harshashoka Kritaduti's son, that he completely neglected all other queens. And Chitraketu Maharaj is not realizing that his neglect, or if you go deeper, his material desire is the cause of his suffering. What is bringing about that suffering? So mind it, this is heavenly planet. The people in the heavenly planets are much more pious. They are not so demoniac. But situation turns any person into a demon. And who is triggering the situation here? Chitraketu Maharaj himself. So who is braving Chitraketu Maharaj's grave? He himself. Is it not? He himself. So the queens here now are burning with anger and envy. Okay. See the this. Yeah. So you see, this is Chitraketu Maharaj. So he's sitting at the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. So later he becomes a great devotee of the Lord. But at this point of time, he is not a devotee. And Angira Muni wanted to give him bhakti, but he is not in a position. He is not ready to take it up. That is the situation of Maharaj. Yeah. So the first stage we are now seeing that you see material desires lead to material hankering. Now, because of this material hankering, one becomes very narrow-minded, obsessed, and then one takes moves which actually trigger further material vices in others. Chitraketu Maharaj has triggered or fueled anger and envy in his wives. So mind it, Chitraketu Maharaj's wives, they were pious people. They were very cultured, heavenly ladies actually, who had great affection for Chitraketu Maharaj, who would never have done such or never would have thought such kind of heinous activity. But it is the nature of anger can turn anybody into a demon. You see. So sometimes people feel that no, I am cultured, I am pious, I am good. I can never dream of any such negative activity. No, my dear sir, the Shastras are telling us that if one associates with material desires, if one remains on the material platform, the material vices can turn even a pious person into a devilish fellow. So here, the queens of the queens came up with such a ghastly and nasty desire. See how ghastly that desire was to murder a small child, a small infant child. These queens, made a treachery to murder the child. How could they? How could they? They were pious people. How could they do that? envy and anger. So the mistake of Chitraketu Maharaj was because of his material hankering and excessive attachment. He has fueled anger and envy in the heart of the queens. And the queens, they allowed that anger and envy to breed, to grow, to germinate. They did not cut it right from the beginning. And now this anger and envy has grown, and it has made them into monsters. Is it not? So actually, we can see this. Anger and envy are so dangerous. Actually, sometimes a person will say, "See, anger, envy, lust, greed, they are all brothers and sisters. They're not much different from each other. Now, lust, when it is fulfilled, it becomes lust. Unfulfilled, it becomes anger. Uh, And yes, anger, and in a more condensed space, it is envy. So envy and anger is unfulfilled lust. And what is lust? Material hankering, material desires. That's what is the point. So it is explained in Krishna Lila actually that now, there is this episode where Lord Krishna, in the search of this beautiful pastime, that Lord Krishna, in search of the Shavantaka jewel, he went to the forest. So he saw that in a cave, he found one cave, and Lord Krishna entered that cave, and he saw a child, a small baby child, was lying down, and above him the Shamantaka was kept, and the child was playing with it. So, so that was the house of Jambavan. Now Jambavan, who is a great devotee, who has been a great associate of Lord Ramachandra in Ramalila, and he was there now in Treta as well, in Krishna Lila. He was there in Krishna Lila as well. So this was the house, and that. So, anyways, Krishna took the Shamantaka jewel. The child started crying. So Jambavan came. He became very angry. Who has disturbed my child? Who's disturbed my child? He became so angry. He came and he found there was Krishna. But because Jambavan was so angry, he did not recognize who is Krishna. So he thought some intruder has come in, and he thought, "Oh, you intruder, you dared to take the toy of my child. I will fight with you." So Jambavan started fighting with Lord Krishna. He gave him a tough fight. And Lord Krishna and Jambavan fought. Jambavan was a great devotee, he was a great fighter, and he fought. He fought for a very, very long time. After that, Jambavan, and Krishna gave a big punch, and Jambavan was on the ground. Finally, after a long, long fight, and Jambavan was started wondering, "Hey, what happened? I, Jambavan, the most powerful, I am there on the ground, with my face on the dust of the ground. Who can defeat me like this?" Jambavan started considering. And Jambavan was thinking, "I am invincible. I had so much power. Nobody in this mortal world has the capacity to defeat me." And then Jambavan understood only one person can defeat me. That is the Supreme Personality of God. And then he started realizing, "Oh, this is the Supreme Personality of God." And then he started recognizing, "Oh, he is my same Lord Ramachandra." And then he offered obeisances to Lord Krishna, and he begged forgiveness. And Lord Krishna said, "No problem, bless him." So Acharyas raised this question, how Jambavan is the Mahabhagavad eternal associate of the Lord, and he could not recognize the Lord when the Lord came in front of him. Why? The reason the Acharyas gave is that because Jambavan was overwhelmed at that time by the drive of anger. Because he was overwhelmed by that drive anger, he could not recognize his own Lord. So anyways, Jambavan offered prayers to the Lord, and the Lord blessed him. Jambavan, she was the daughter of Jambavan. So, Mother Jambavan, she was the daughter of Jambavan. So this is a beautiful concept. So anyways, the drive of anger, he could not, because of the drive of anger, he could not even recognize the Lord. This can happen to pure devotees. What to say of tiny, puny, materialistic people like us? So, so therefore, these vices are very dangerous. One should not land up in these vices. One should not land up in these vices. So we have to understand that circumventing karma is not easy. One can try to escape, but this actually allow the game of dodging away from one particular misery or the other. This is not going to help a lot. See, it's like even what he does that one misery comes, he just tries to knock it off. If he's successful knocking it off, he feels, so I am great. The problem is what? You knocked it off, it will come again. It will come again, just like table tennis. No? One ball came, somehow the other knock it off. It won't, no, it will come back again. Again, you have to knock it off. Again, you have to knock. You have to keep like problem, next problem, next problem, next problem. Are you understand why the problems are coming? That out that no knocking business, no knocking business. Just like see somebody's playing like snakes and ladders. Oh, he's applying all his no, one is snakes and ladder. No, one feels okay, five should come, six should not come, four should not come, two should come. So who will reach the 100? Sometimes you will see a person has come to 97 and then he gets a 2, he gets 90, and there is a big snake, ooh, the big snake. And that big snake actually takes a person straight back to Punar Mushtika Bhava, one starts back from various. I should understand, I am spirits, eternal servant of Krishna. Let me just love and serve Krishna. And keeping Krishna in the center, now relate with the other living entities as sons of God. So that bodily consciousness has to be given. Otherwise, the bodily consciousness na, knocks a person off. Chitraketu Maharaj is knocked off actually. So bad. So he is steering his own suffering. Is it nothing else is happening? Had he not neglected his queens, it would have been much better. But how can he not neglect his queens? Because he was driven by, and therefore could help. So I saw my own father in his last days. Actually, my grandfather was in a very miserable situation. He had only few months to go. It was clear. He was not, so he was not able to even pass urine and stool actually, and then go to toilet to do that. He had that pot or something there itself. So he would not understand when he has passed urine and all. So he did. So he was sick. But actually, in that state, I had met him actually. So I was a good number of hours with him, and I was trying to tell him life may end. There is an end to you see, there is an end to material everything actually. So now you should not worry about anything material. Now you should not think much material. You should better take to spiritual life. And it was a shocking experience for me actually because what used to happen was that very shocking experience. I stayed some days and I was studying. I was a student like all of you in engineering, second year or yeah, like all of you second year. So, and he was, and I could see he was in a very pathetic. But actually, someday he will feel a little better, little healthy. And you know what? One day he will ask, the daughter-in-laws, his daughter-in-law, my chachi, he would ask them to make some, no, meat for him, chicken, leg piece, he would make. And he would ask them to give him some, no, whiskey or wine, and what he was, no, yeah, whiskey or whatever. That. So he wanted to drink peg after peg and eat the chicken like that because he was healthy. And next day again, he would be little down and he would be, lying down. Most of the time he would sleep. Dance songs and all that, songs and dance and all, Bollywood songs, item songs and all that, where the ladies they dress not properly and improper dress and some sensual note is going on, and he would watch that. And this was so miserable and intolerable for me to see. And it was so pathetic and intolerable. My God, this is what is this is the back end of his life, and his mind and heart is stooped or he's not able to realize he was in such a helpless position actually that what good is this materialistic note. And I was trying to tell him from Bhagavad Gita, and he would be looking at, and I would tell him, okay, please chant. And he would be looking at, and I would say Hare Krishna, and he would not speak anything. He would just say Hare Krishna, uh, Krishna Krishna. He would not speak one Mahamantra. I tried so many times. And he would be listening me. I'll be telling him, please chant. Not that he was deaf. He had no hearing problems. Not that he could not speak, because when he was asking leg piece, chicken, and everything, with that same mouth, he would hear the Bollywood song and repeat that. So he could have repeated a Mahamantra also. But he was not. So and he look at me, look at me, and then after some time, he would just turn his face off and to the side and see his and then his TV will be there, and he'll take the remote and open the TV, and now he'll be very excited. Like that his facial expression change. So, and yes, sure enough, he had only few months. So I tried so much, but he could not actually. See, the materialistic desires, the note of lust and greed, that can take a person nowhere. Actually, that can take a person nowhere. And what good is this, child business, the son business, and all that? Sometimes what happens is that very interesting. This comes in, tradition. They say, suppose what happens. Suppose the son is very disobedient, and he is a headache. Sometimes the mother said, अरे तुम हमारे कौन से जन्म के दुश्मन थे जो भी हमारे घर में पैदा हो गए हो ना हमको ये दुख पहुंचाने के लिए. Sometimes they say, okay, which enemy you were. But actually, in Puranas there is a mention that sometimes karma settings are like that. That what happens is that one's enemy is given birth in one's own family, you know, and then there is an enemy, so he wants to, because he had a great desire to incriminate misery. So he's an enemy, but he is born in the same family. So now what happens? The whole family is giving him love, nourishment, and all that, and he grows up and he punches the same family members. So karma has their own, so materialistic nature has their own ways actually. So who is the son? I mean, it's like we don't know who is he. Is it not the friend, enemy, what it is? He's come to give trouble. He's come to give pleasure. We don't know anything. But out of illusion, a person thinks that okay, if I get this, this is my son, and my material desires cannot lead any good. So this is all an illusory game. So a person feels that okay, if I have this thing, if I have this object, if I have a family like this, I'll be happy. But these are all simply the only note which can work, to solve this the problem of suffering is the spiritual note. Let's read further. Here we are. One afternoon, as Queen Kitaduti walked in the courtyard of his palace, she thought of a son. Yeah, so what was the result of Chitraketu's affection for Kitaduti? It attracted the envy of other queens. What makes one act in deadly ways to cause harm to others? Anger and envy. Yeah. So one afternoon, as Queen Kudaduti walked in the courtyard of the palace, she thought of her son sleeping peacefully in his room. Because she loved the child dearly and could hardly bear to be without him for a moment, she ordered the nurse to awaken him from his nap and bring him to the garden. So it was only a short time where Kudaduti was out. But when the maid servant approached the child, she saw that his eyes were turned upward. There were no signs of life. Horrified, she held a swab of cotton beneath the boy's nostrils, but the cotton could not move. In great agitation, she struck her breast with both hands and wept loudly. For some time past, the anxious queen approached the child's bedroom. Hearing the nurse's wailing, she entered the room and saw that her son had passed away from this world in great lamentation, her hair and dress in disarray. The queen fell to the ground unconscious. When a king heard of his son's death, he became nearly blind with grief. His lamentation grew like conflagration, and as he ran to see the dead child, he repeatedly stumbled and fell. Yeah, repeatedly stumbled and fell, actually. So this is now Bhagavad Gita 2.7, 2.8 talk about, the question, the Bhagavad Gita 2.7, 2.8, they talk about the they talk about Hridaya Daurbalyam, that out of attachment one develops this weakness of heart. Now the king, for him, everything is lost now because his son is gone. And this is what Angira Muni had hinted before. The queen's flower garland slipped from her body and her smooth jet black hair became tangled. Falling tears smeared with the cosmetics beneath her eyes, she began to curse the Supreme Lord. Oh, Providence, during the lifetime of the Father, you have caused the Son, the death of the Son. You are the enemy of the living beings, and you are not at all merciful. Turning to her beloved child, she said, my dear son, I am helpless and aggrieved. You should not give up my company. How can you leave me? Just look at the lamenting father. You have slept for a long time. Now please get up. Your playmates are calling you to play. You must be very hungry. So please get up immediately and take your lunch. My dear son, I am most unfortunate, for I can no longer see your smiling face. You have closed your eyes forever. You have been taken from this planet to another place from which you will not return. My dear son, unable to hear your pleasing voice, I can no longer maintain my life. The king cried loudly as the mother and father lamented. All the followers joined them, bemoaning the untimely death of the child. Because of the sudden demise of the prince, all the citizens of the kingdom were also grieved. So, so we can see this is materialistic affairs action. It starts with emptiness, it ends always in emptiness. Every cycle ends in emptiness. There may be some spikes of jubilation. In that spikes, person gets excessively attached, and in that attachment, he paves the way for again being empty and miserable. Actually, so one shoots out and comes back to the same state of misery. This is material affairs, the merry-go-round. Which comes back to the same place always, no matter who the person is, no matter whatever he does, no matter how much skilled he is, no matter however powerful he is. Welcome to material life. So Chitraketu Maharaj, he had everything, but he was empty. He was miserable. And then he tried everything, and then he got a son, and now that merry-go-round has again brought him back to the same position. This cycle has no exit point unless one takes up to spiritual life. Only spiritual awakening can help solve the problem. Can help solve the problem. Only spiritual awakening can help solve the problem. That is the point. You know. So you see now, even Kritaduti at this juncture, she is very enthusiastic. I mean, she is very easily cursing the Lord and blaming the Lord actually. But when she actually got a son, did she thank the Lord? That was the first point, is it not? Secondly, Kritaduti herself knew that she had no extra qualification that she should be getting all the affection of the king. She could have herself told, because the other queens were her own sisters, is it not? She could have, they were like the sisters only, na? Fellow queens are like sisters only. So her own, they were like her own sisters. She could have told the king, why are you excessively only obsessed? You have married so many ladies. It's your responsibility to give love, care, affection to everyone. She herself was obsessed. She was enjoying being on the materialistic note, and she herself had been narrow-minded. So this is the point that actually when one comes to this material world, one drives with full recklessness on in any direction in life, not caring for any laws of dharma, not caring for any of the instructions of the Lord, anything, everything to get self-gratification. And when one lands up in a dead end, immediately one remembers God to criticize. The unfortunate state of affairs, is it not? The unfortunate state of affairs. Now, as this pastime goes forward, we will see that when spiritual awakening comes, then you will see that now how all these problems and situations, the material world remains the same material world, but the person is well, can pass out and steer through it completely unaffected and completely and completely transcendental and completely and not at all touched by the miseries and agony. This is what is going to happen after the Chitraketu Maharaj gets spiritual awakening. So how will that spiritual awakening come about? And what change it will make in his life, and further what revelations are waiting for him, and how is he going to drive it forward, that we will see on Sunday. That we will see on Sunday session. So we'll stop here. uh, do you have any questions? Okay, so we'll meet again on Sunday then, and stay tuned till then. And morning or evening slot, I will let you know. We'll let you know. Morning or evening slot. Okay, Hare Krishna.